I thought you would love that. All right, okay. April Fools, April Fools, April Fools. It is April 1st.
That's a pretty good one.
Thank you. I thought that was pretty slick of me. Thank you very much. Thank you. All right. In all seriousness.
All seriousness. Yeah. Ronnie Ward from the Ditmas section of the Flatbush neighborhood, Brooklyn, in the city of New York. It's April Fool's Day. April 1st is my mother's birthday. Happy birthday, Grandma. But here we go. From PBS NewsHour. Watch live. White House holds news briefing as U.S. and Israeli officials hold virtual talks. April 1st, 2024. 208 views, 31 likes.
Couple things at the top. So
it starts off with a really bad joke. That President Biden has repealed the Hatch Act. Ha 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 ha. Now I can answer all the questions you want. Yeah.
First Lady Jill Biden, Dr. Biden, a teacher for more than 30 years, is continuing her theme of education. For today's White House Easter egg roll, transforming the South Lawn and Ellipse into a school community full of fun, educational activities for children of all ages to enjoy. In total, approximately 40,000 people will take part in this year's event. 40,000 people.
No.
We do want to say a special...
No, there won't be 40,000 people there. 40,000 people won't fit on the White House lawn. Won't. She's reading from a script again. She reads from a script. She does. I have to say it again. She doesn't matter. She's a spokesperson for the president. But she's reading words that were written by somebody else. Has to be the chief of staff or the White House accountant, somebody, Biden, something, yeah. She doesn't matter. Her name doesn't matter. She's a spokesperson. Donald Trump had 7 spokespeople or some crazy number till he got the one that he liked. That's it. She serves at the pleasure of the president. President Biden could wake up today after he has his ice cream and say, okay, I'm not pleased anymore. Out, everybody. Out, all of them. Out. I'm not pleased. You're gone. He could. After he has his ice cream.
Thank you to the American Egg Board and America's egg farmers for continuing its more than
corporations and lobbyists
45-year history of support for the event and for its donation.
I don't think so. We'd have to check the facts on that. It's not her. Somebody wrote these words, okay? But she's out front. She is. Unless she's being coerced or blackmailed or extorted to do this. I assume she's doing it of her own free will. Which means she knows what's going on and serves of her own free will, then she's part of the problem.
Of 64,000 eggs used on the South Lawn and another 64,000 donated to the Capital Area Food Bank to match the eggs used for the roll. And I have some news for you at the top. I know many of you were asking this question over the weekend. President Biden will travel to Baltimore on Friday to visit the collapsed Francis Scott Key Bridge, meet with state and local officials, and get on the ground look at federal response efforts. The president is continuing to lead a whole of government approach to the collapse. President Biden...
No. The governor of Maryland is doing it, not President Biden. They've already had press conferences and mapped the NTSB is already on the ground there. Already there investigating. The NTSB is. It's a separate agency. It's not under the White House or anybody. It's independent. They're there. They don't make any comments on anything they do. They gather all the things they can gather as long as it takes and then issues a report.
And his team are working with Governor Moore, the congressional delegation, Mayor Scott.
A liar. She's a liar. They're not. The NTSB is there doing an investigation. The governor's there. She's a liar. She has to know what's going on. She's standing at the podium. In the James P. Brady briefing room, the gentleman who worked for Ronald Reagan, his vice president, who got shot when they tried to assassinate Reagan. Yeah. She's standing there in the podium, in that room. It's sacred space for journalists. Of course it is. James P. Brady was nearly killed. He was paralyzed. It's sacred space.
And numerous state and local officials to reopen the port, rebuild the bridge.
There's no report that the port is closed. The bridge is damaged, yes. Well, it is a problem. The bridge is out. Well, whatever. I don't know that the port's closed.
And support the people of Baltimore. Through the Unified Command, the U.S. Coast Guard is coordinating a
The Unified Command coordinated. The Unified Command. What the hell is the Unified Command?
complex and highly coordinated effort to remove the wreckage with resources from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, the state of Maryland, and others. Crane.
There are cranes there. Nothing's going to be removed or done anything until the NTSB can do what it needs to do.
Barges are on the scene supporting the mission. In addition, the Chesapeake 1000, the largest heavy lift crane barge on the East Coast, which is nearly 200 feet long and can lift 1,000 tons, arrived Thursday night. And on Saturday, the Unified Command successfully removed the first piece of wreckage. Last week, within hours of receiving the request, the U.S. Department of Transportation announced the immediate availability of $60 million in quick release, emergency relief.
Oh, money right out the door. Oh, it's part of the money grab scheme. The Ponzi scheme. Yeah, it is. It is.
Fund for the Maryland Department of Transportation. We're also doing everything that we can to help address economic impacts. On Saturday, the Small Business Administration quickly approved a disaster declaration and will provide low interest.
Small Business Administration doesn't approve disaster declarations. The President of the United States does. No, the President issues one upon request. No, it's wrong. She doesn't know what she's talking about. She's reading it anyway. She's reading it. But she knows what she's doing. She has to. Or she's being extorted or coerced or blackmailed or threatened to be standing there. I don't believe it. No.
Disaster loans to eligible affected businesses. Today, the SBA is launching 2 business recovery centers in Baltimore County. These centers will support impacted business owners in completing their disaster loan applications. The Department of Labor is working with local and state.
This is a test. This is a test. This is a test of the Unified Command to see how you can respond locally to what happens. If in the event this was an actual emergency, well, then you wouldn't get anything. But since it is and you've passed your test, then we're going to give you some money. Thank you very much. Unified Command over and out.
Officials to determine how to assist workers out of work due to closure of the port. Acting Secretary of Labor Julie Su is in Baltimore today meeting with stakeholders, and twice last week the White House convened a meeting for the Biden-Harris administration.
Well, when did they have the meeting, before or after the disaster?
Supply Chain Disruptors Task Force to discuss potential impacts on regional and national supply chains. As the president said, within hours of the collapse, this administration will be with the people of Baltimore every.
He didn't appear in public and say it. When Bill Clinton was the president of the United States, when Richard Nixon passed away, Bill Clinton came out of the White House, stood on White House grounds. It was dark. He stood and he made a press announcement. He did. He came out and announced it. Yeah.
Of the way we are with you, Baltimore, and we will be there until we get this done.
Is he dealing by air, land, and sea like
No, until you get it done the way we want you to get it done, and you please report to the Unified Command and let them know what you're doing and a status, and we'll see.
Flying by
We will
Air
have
Force
more.
One.
We will have more information as we get closer to Friday. I think the important thing is the president has said he was going to go as soon as possible. Now he is going to go on Friday. We certainly will have more information.
Soon as possible is not a goal. How much money shall we raise for this project? As much as possible. No. The president's not reliable to travel. He's not. I'm not sure. Where in the world is Carmen Santiago?
To share. I just don't have any details at this time. Okay, Will?
Thank you. So the criticism over the Transgender Day of Visibility, the White House said that the president wouldn't abuse his faith for political purposes. Does the president think that's what Republicans are doing on this issue?
I mean, look, just a couple of things, and really so surprised by the misinformation that's been out there around this, and I want to be very clear.
Does she mean the misinformation coming out of her mouth standing at the podium all this time, all these days? Is that what she's talking about? Or is it disinformation coming out of her mouth? Yeah.
Every year for the past several years, on March 31st, Transgender Day of Visibility is marked. And as
Well, this is from 1989. It is. Well, I'm just going to show a bit of this. It's old footage. VHS onto whatever, yeah. I have to thank the Internet Archive at archive.org, yeah. Do you notice? God bless, da, da, na, 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 na. Yeah, patriotic. Notice the imagery. Galvanized, March in Madison, Wisconsin. Gays, lesbians, bisexuals, and straight friends.
No, I mean, you really do your S&M number.
Mayor Paul Soglin. (1989). I moved to Connecticut in 1990 from St. Louis. Greeting Catherine Clarenbach, who received yet, this time from Edgewood College, and the bishop got all bent out of shape. Yes, that's the county executive, Rick Phelps, in the green sweater. This was the march that was in the making for over a year. About 7,000 people showed up. Saturday, May 6, 1989, we woke up with snow on the ground. May 6, snow on the ground. Meg, James, Tony, Sheehan.
I'm Barbie.
Ken and Barbie.
And it's really great to have you all here. Yeah!
They just had the movie, didn't they, Ken and Barbie? Didn't they though? Didn't they?
There are people as far as I can see, and that was what we've been hoping for all along. Galvanize, which is, for those of you who don't yet know, the Gay and Lesbian Visibility Alliance of Madison, Wisconsin. The look of the march is very important, right, Tony?
Looks are everything. Our first speaker is someone that I'm sure everyone will recognize. David Clarenbach has been an activist for civil rights throughout his political and professional career, beginning as a member of Common Council and on the County Board of Supervisors. He has continued this as a member of the State Assembly for the past 15 years. David Clarenbach has authored the historical bill which made Wisconsin the first and only state in the country to outlaw discrimination in housing, employment, and public accommodation on the basis of sexual orientation.
All right. Well, I have to check it out. Connecticut passed theirs in 1981. They did. I have to find out about Wisconsin. I was there. I was present when it happened, yeah.
I thought you might like that. David has also authored other major pieces of legislation which have had direct impact.
Why is there a nuclear freeze thing there? Why is that?
On the lives of lesbian and gay people, including the legalization of private sexual relations between consenting adults, the informed consent and confidentiality requirements for HIV testing, and the hate crimes bill.
No. Wrong. Wrong, 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 wrong. Not right. That's all wrong. 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 That is all wrong. 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 I know. I know it is. Let's get back to her. Let's see what she has to say. See what she has to say.
We know, for folks who understand the calendar and how it works, Easter falls on different Sundays, right? Every year. And this year it happened to...
Is she schooling us on the liturgical calendar of the Christian faith and Jewish faith? Is she schooling religious professionals? Is she schooling liturgists? What the heck is she talking about? What is she doing? Schooling us? Schooling us.
Coincide with Transgender Visibility Day. And so that is the simple fact. That is what has happened. That is where we are. And I do want to say a couple of things because I think it's important here, as you just stated in your questions, what we've been hearing out there.
Handing
a lot
in
of
your
misinformation done on purpose. And as a Christian who celebrates Easter with family, President Biden stands for bringing people together and upholding the dignity and freedoms of every American. Now, sadly, and it's not surprising, right? It is actually unsurprising that politicians are seeking to divide and weaken our country with cruel, hateful, and dishonest rhetoric. It is dishonest what we have heard the past 24 hours. It is untrue what we heard over the weekend. And, you know, we were at first, want to be very clear, confused on their coverage. We're grateful that Fox agrees with President Biden about the importance of recognizing of every American. Now, sadly, and it's not surprising, right? It is actually unsurprising that politicians are seeking to divide and weaken our country with cruel, hateful, and dishonest.
I think she's part of a group that's serving to not weaken and divide and conquer. Yeah. Part of some way. She's standing at the podium. In the James P. Brady, there's no break for her. No.
Honest rhetoric. It is dishonest what we have heard the past 24 hours. It is untrue what we heard over the weekend.
I'm surprised she doesn't say unhonest, untrue, unhonest, unsurprising, un.
And, you know, we were at first, want to be very clear, confused on their coverage. We're grateful that Fox agrees with President Biden about the importance of recognizing Trans Day of Visibility. And I'll just quote something that Fox said back in 2021. They tweeted this: Trans Day of Visibility is dedicated to celebrating transgender people.
How did she pull a tweet from all the way back then? And what does that have to do with making this announcement today? See, this is a problem. It is.
To all the transgender men, women, and non-binary folk, we see you and stand with you. President Biden will never abuse his faith or
What? She doesn't know what she's talking about. Non-binary. What? Oh my God. Really?
for political purposes or for profit. That is not what this administration is about. That is not what
No, it's not for what she just said. What'd she say?
It is untrue what we heard over the weekend. And, we were at first, want to be very clear, confused on their coverage.
I bet you they are confused. They're trying to figure out what's going on. I don't think they're the master of the story anymore. They're not running. They're not playing 8-ball. No, they're not running the table anymore. No, they scratched or something. Well, was it love? 3-game match set, all that stuff? Yeah, it's a long time. Yeah, but they're not running the table now. They're not. Nope, they're not. They're not. No, somebody else moseyed on into the saloon and put their quarter down on the side of the coin-operated pool table, and they get next in line. Well, there's a lot of quarters in line, and you got to wait your turn. You do. Well, somebody came up, put their quarters down, or people, whatever, who knows. It's their time to play now. Well, they're not pool sharks. No, they're not swimming around in a swimming pool. No, they're not pool sharks. They just know how to play. That's all. Yeah. I played here the other day, I think. I did. I forgot where I was. I forgot. Recently I played pool. Oh, I know. Yeah, I know. I know where I was. I was in Boston at McLean Hospital. I played pool while I was there. I did. Well, some of the folks there were like, "Oh my gosh, look at that, Ronnie Ward. Well, he's ambidextrous. He shoots pool both left-handed and right-handed. Well, we've never seen any such a thing such as that," they said. They hadn't. I hadn't played pool in years, but I do. I am ambidextrous at it. I am. Yep.
We're grateful that Fox agrees with President Biden about the importance of recognizing
Fox
Trans
agrees.
Day of Visibility. And I'll just quote something that Fox said back in 2021. They tweeted this: Trans Day of Visibility is dedicated to celebrating transgender people. To all the transgender men, women, and non-binary folk, we see you and stand with you. President Biden will never abuse his faith or
Now, they didn't say that part. Now she's running on her own words.
for political purposes or for profit. That is not
for political purposes or profit. No, for death and destruction and denigration and embarrassment, and singling people out and exposing them and bringing ridicule on them, throwing them into jail and everything else. All those purposes, not Biden. No.
what this administration is about. That is not what being a leader is
Right, they're not about profit. No, they're about all the things I just said. Not Biden. He's out having ice cream.
about. And this misinformation out there is it's bad. And
It's bad. That's the best thing she can say. It's bad. It's bad. It's sad. It's bad. Sad. Your dad. Oh, so bad. Bad, 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 bad. Yeah, I have no patience. No, I'm over it. I'm over it. Oh, I'm over it. Oh, the sun will come out tomorrow. It's not an Easter outfit. No, it's not. No, it's not an Easter outfit. Mm-mm.
dividing. It is caused to divide us. And I want to say one more quote. This is what Politico covered every year. And I said this at the top of my answer. Transgender Day of Visibility is on March 31st. This year, March 31st just so happens to be also Easter, the date of which changes every year. That's how I started out, and that's how I end.
Thank you.
Thanks, Green.
How Kareen, Captain, Kareen, the mistress of the ceremonies. Yeah. I think she's lesbian or has a wife or something. Maybe, I think so. I don't know. She's from the Caribbean. I don't know where. I know she grew up in Queens, though. She did. She grew up in Queens. She did grow up in Queens. I know that. That's about it. A few other things. Oh, she worked for Change.org and some other lefty, not liberal, but leftists kind of organizations. Some of the same places that Obama had worked with and all that stuff. Yeah. You know, the left. The Marxist, communist, fascist, what a long list of stuff. Just like the right, the communist, fascist, totalitarian, yeah, you know, this polarization stuff. Yeah, right. Well, she's part of all that. Yeah, that's how she is. Yeah. Look at all the other people, the crazy Republicans on the right, and the ultra-right, and the left, yeah, there's a whole group on both sides doing this. But then there are people who care about the Constitution of the United States and rules, integrity, and all that other stuff. Well, that's a rare breed. That's hard. It's very difficult to do that today.
The U.S. and Israelis meeting virtually today instead of having that in-person meeting on Rafah.
So, as you know, I can confirm that there is a virtual meeting happening today with...
So that means there's no meeting. Anthony Blinken, isn't he still in the Middle East? If it's virtual, there is no meeting. There is not. You can't meet virtually. You don't know who you're talking to or where they're at. It's not secure.
Both U.S. Israeli officials, to discuss Rafah, the situation in Rafah, and obviously the next steps that we have been hearing that the Israeli government wants to take. This is following the discussions that we all talked about last week with the Israeli Minister of Defense and his delegation, and this conversation today.
Hold on. Hang on, Sloopy, hang on, yeah. Ronnie Ward from the video's at 26 minutes and 32 seconds. ABC News. IDF spokesperson breaks down Israeli response to Hamas attack. Posted October 9th. 2023, 37,977 views. Lieutenant Colonel Jonathan Conricus, international spokesperson for the Israeli Defense Force, joins ABC News Live to break down the latest on the rescue efforts.
International spokesperson for the Israeli Defense Forces, Lieutenant Colonel Jonathan Conricus, joins me now for more on this. Lieutenant, thank you for joining us. How did you first learn about this attack, and what was your reaction when you did?
I learned of it when rockets were fired at the place where I live in central Israel, early morning hours Saturday. And a heavy barrage of rockets, and immediately I was notified on the phone that this was a large-scale attack.
Central Israel.
Then it became apparent, it's obvious that if they're firing at Tel Aviv and central Israel, then something very big is going on. I could not imagine at that time that Hamas would have the audacity and the foolhardiness to do what they have done, to launch such an unprecedented, brutal, merciless attack on Israeli civilians, to butcher civilians in their homes as they have, and to launch an attack and cause the amount of casualties that Israel has never experienced ever in its history. It is an unprecedented attack, and it will be followed by an unprecedented Israeli response against these bloodthirsty animals that have come across from Gaza and attacked our civilians.
You say unprecedented Israeli response. What do you mean by that?
I mean that according to the directives given by the Israeli government, the task of the IDF in this war, and this is a war, this is not another round of fighting, this is not rockets being fired at southern or central Israel, and then some retaliations, and then some half-cooked ceasefire under Egyptian assistance. This is a totally, fundamentally different situation. And what we have been tasked to do by the Israeli government is to make sure that at the end of the fighting here, Hamas no longer possesses a military capability to threaten Israelis at all, and does not have the ability to govern the Gaza Strip. Now, what that means is, of course, for those following events and perhaps more familiar with, is that this will be a very substantial assault on Hamas's military capabilities, and that the paradigms that were relevant up until October 7th will no longer be valid.
Israel is saying that at least 100 people have been taken hostage here. What more, if anything, do you know about the condition those hostages are being kept in, and how worried are you about those people?
This is also an unprecedented situation. We've had Israeli civilians and military taken hostage by terrorists in the past, but never this amount, and together in different locations. So it is unprecedented. It is extremely delicate, and we are talking about people with families that are calling out for their return. You showed some of it, but I think it's worth mentioning. We're not talking about abducting Israeli soldiers from an IDF position. We're talking about that Hamas crossed into Israel, went to music festivals, went into houses, and dragged out from Israel into Gaza women, children, infants, elderly people, and even disabled people, along with younger Israelis, men and women. So it is I've never seen before,
Wow.
and I don't think that any
Boy, there's a lot of people missing like that right inside the United States. There is.
country has suffered such a horrible situation. It will, of course, influence the future decisions made by the Israeli government and the military, how to deal with the situation. The only thing I know now is that there are no negotiations ongoing, and what the IDF is doing is preparing to deliver a long and sustained, extremely powerful campaign against Hamas for the atrocities that they have done.
All right, IDF spokesperson Lieutenant Colonel Jonathan Conricus. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Oh, well, let's get back to the James P. Brady briefing room. Here we go. Save the Children of Gaza, pro-Palestine protest. October 31st, 2023. Save the Children of Gaza, pro-Palestine protests interrupt Blinken Senate hearing. October 31st. From YouTube. Yeah. Pro-Palestinian demonstrators interrupt the U.S. Secretary of State's Senate hearing on Tuesday, covering their hands in red paint. On Tuesday. Well, let's see. Let's see what October 31st was. Well, let's see when... Well, let's see. Stopped Blinken during the testimony several times, with the police taking the individuals out of the hall. Oh, out of the hall. Okay. The Garden Post is independent journalism made possible by supporters like you to sign up for the Garden free. Okay.
Of the Appropriations Committee, thank you for this opportunity to testify before you today.
The deliver the basic provisions of bombers or densely populated areas. Stop supporting the genocide. Save the children of Gaza! Save the children of Gaza! Cease fire now! Where is your pride, America?
Against Ukraine, not in the face of an intensifying strategic competition in the Indo-Pacific and around the world.
If the witness will suspend, and I ask that everyone again respect this hearing, we will suspend.
Must work hand in hand.
Committee will suspend, and again, I appreciate that people feel passionately about these issues. I would ask that you respect our witnesses.
Well, from DW News. It's a German English broadcast. The future of Israeli-Palestinian relations. Conflict Zone MSC live debate, February 18th, 2024.
The Munich Security Conference. Hello, everyone, and a very warm welcome to Peace in Pieces, the Future of Israeli-Palestinian Relations Town Hall. This is a special edition of Conflict Zone coming to you from the Munich Security Conference. Our conversation will begin with
the Munich Security Conference.
Palestinian Prime Minister. Thank you very much for your time this morning. And then we will open up to a high-level panel who will be joining us here on the stage. Palestinian Prime Minister. Hello, everyone, and a very warm welcome to Peace in Pieces, the Future of Israeli-Palestinian Relations Town Hall. This is a special edition of Conflict Zone coming to you from the Munich Security Conference. Our conversation will begin with the Palestinian Prime Minister. Thank you very much for your time this morning. And then we will open up to a high-level panel who will be joining us here on the stage. Palestinian Prime Minister Mohammed Eshtai, thank you so much for joining us on Conflict Zone here from the Munich Security Conference.
Thank you for having me.
More than 28,000 have been killed in Gaza, more than 11,000 of them children, according to the Gaza Health Ministry. Isn't it time for Hamas, which many countries around the world consider to be a terrorist organization, to release the remaining hostages and try and bring an end to this conflict?
By all means, all our eyes are focused on the sufferings of the Palestinians, both in Gaza Strip and in the West Bank. And what is immediately needed is a ceasefire. And what is more needed is to allow international aid to get into Gaza, not only through one single entry, but through all the entries that are there. As you rightly said, not only 28,000 Palestinians have been killed, but also 70,000 Palestinians have been injured. 281,000 Palestinian homes have been destroyed between partial destruction and complete destruction. But also 1.7 million Palestinians have been pushed out of their homes into one single geography that's called the Rafah area. And now the Israeli army is intending to encourage into Rafah. So all what we need now is an immediate ceasefire and allow international aid to get into Gaza.
Let's talk a little bit more about those prospects, because the PA President Mahmoud Abbas called on Hamas this week to complete a deal quickly, and I'm quoting here, to spare the Palestinian people suffering. Do you think that Hamas cares what Abbas and the PA has to say? Do you think they're listening?
Our president is the president of all the Palestinians, of course, and we do care for our people. And we would like to see an end to these atrocities. We would like to see the release of all the hostages, and we would like to see a deal that is there in the making as soon as possible, because every single day that is delayed, it means more killings, it means more sufferings, and it means more disaster for the people. When we call for end of ceasefire, of course we do mean it, and we have been engaged with all the international players, with the United States, with Europe, with everybody in order for us to bring this to a reality. We have been engaged with Egypt, we have been engaged with Qatar, with all the players who have been there. Of course, the situation is catastrophic, as you rightly said. And our president was very direct, very explicit when he stated that.
All eyes are.
Okay. Back to the White House briefing. From the YouTube channel Fox 5 New York. Tens of thousands of people are gathering at Washington, D.C.'s National Mall on Tuesday for the March for Israel rally, Fox 5 New York's Antoine Lewis reports. Demonstrators march for Israel in Washington, D.C.
Tens of thousands of people are gathering at Washington, D.C.'s National Mall this afternoon for the March for Israel rally. Let's take a live look right now. Even though the main rally starts in about an hour, we're already seeing some speakers get to the podium there and hundreds of people in attendance so far. Let's bring in Antoine Lewis for more on what's going on today. Antoine.
Chris, this is poised to be historic, one of the largest pro-Israel demonstrations ever, but we do want to start with the very latest on the war in Israel. Gaza's largest hospital remains a focal point of attention right now. Palestinian officials have asked for a Red Cross supervised evacuation of the hospital, which is in the middle of some of the most intense fighting at the moment. The AP is reporting that hundreds of patients, medical staff, and displaced people are trapped with dwindling supplies and no electricity. Health officials warning that the only way to save some 36 newborns inside the hospital would be to call a ceasefire and transport them out. Now, last night on Fox News, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said right now their focus remains destroying Hamas.
It's our common civilization against their common barbarism. Civilization must win. So Israel must destroy Hamas to have peace. If you want peace, destroy Hamas. If you want security, destroy Hamas. If you want to beat the axis of terror, destroy Hamas. This is what Israel must do. This is what Israel is doing.
Now, for more about today's rally, officials are expecting more than 100,000
The axis of terror.
people to attend. Called the March for Israel rally, organizers say the event is a chance to show solidarity with Israel, express their resolve in combating a rise in anti-Semitism, and to demand the release of hostages abducted by Hamas. The rally will be held on the National Mall. Busloads of New Yorkers left for D.C. early this morning, and we spoke with one who said it was absolutely essential for them to go.
And as the rest of the world attempts to pressure Israel to stand down against Hamas, we need to defend Israel's right to incapacitate Hamas. That's one crisis. The second crisis is the rise in anti-Semitic expression here in the United States. And the only way that we can defeat that is not to be bullied by it. We have to stand up to it.
The National Guard will be on hand to help local police with crowd control as well as road closures during the rally, which is supposed to last from 1 this afternoon in about an hour until 3. That's the very latest. Chris will send things now back over to you.
All right, Antoine, thank you very much.
YouTube channel. TBN Israel. Israel's high-tech military drones and Iron Dome defense system insights.
From David Sling to Iron Dome, Israel's military technologies are going to be revealed on Insights Israel and the Middle East.
That's right, Yael. Our country has an incredible history of combining the technology, the know-how with warfare. And today we're diving deep exactly into that story. The story of warfare and technology in this country.
Join us.
Israeli defense technology and tactics have come a very long way since the days of King David. And that is a very good thing. This land has sat at the crossroads of empires for millennia, and many of them have engaged in battle with the people of this land. And the technology and the ability have evolved over time. I'm standing right in front of the Israeli IDF headquarters in Tel Aviv, and today we're going deep into that story. The story of the Israeli military from King David until present day.
Sometimes the decision needs to be done in minutes, so you need to make the right one.
The human being stay the same capabilities, but technologies all the time progress.
We don't yet trust the computer to replace the man, but I would say this kind of things we will see in the next years.
That was incredibly impressive.
Mission accomplished?
Wow.
Welcome to Elbit facility. Elbit Systems is today the major defense company in Israel, building and developing new technologies to support IDF needs to maintain the peace and defense of Israel.
Elbit Systems is a leading international high-technology defense company. Their biggest business unit is UAVs.
UAV, which stands for Unmanned Aerial Vehicle, is perhaps the most significant feature in any modernization process of all the armies today.
What is the big difference in operating UAVs versus manned or the traditional type of airplane?
For example, when you're talking about ISTAR, which is intelligence, surveillance, targeting, and reconnaissance missions, you can stay airborne above a target for numerous number of hours, days, weeks, sometimes even months. No human being is capable of being airborne for such a long period of time and still, be productive in the mission. They should use UAVs in missions where the man is the limiting factor.
The first significant milestone for unmanned aerial vehicles came during the First Lebanon War in 1982. The PLO, or Palestine Liberation Organization, had established a military presence in Lebanon and had been launching attacks on northern Israel from Lebanese territory. They were supported in part by Syrian forces, Israel's other neighbor to the north. In order for Israel to target the PLO and Syrian forces accurately, and not the Lebanese military or civilians, Israel had to be very precise and gather valuable information about enemy positions and movements.
I would say the first milestone maybe in the world for real-time intelligence UAVs, we were able to destroy most of the Syrian surface-to-air missiles and basically
So I have something at the top for all of you. I think you'll be really interested in this. So President Biden is scheduled to announce he is revoking
So she's wearing a yellow dress there. She's got a red dress here.
Biden is scheduled to announce he is revoking
Oh, do
the
you see
Hatch
that?
Act. So as a gift
Did
to
you
all of
see
you,
that?
so
Went
now
from
I can
red to yellow.
actually take
Get
all
red
your
to
questions
yellow.
about 2024. No? I thought you would love that. All right, okay. April Fools, April Fools, April Fools. It is April 1st. Thank you. I thought that was pretty. I thought it was pretty slick of me. Thank you very much. Thank you. All right. In all seriousness, a couple things at the top. So, First Lady, April Fools, April Fools. It is April 1st. Thank you. I thought that was pretty. I thought it was pretty slick of me. Fact. That deal first term. What are you doing? That they've been doing misinformed.
California.
Border. Whose extraordinary qualifications and labor union and dealing with all the stakeholders that's going to be affected by this. All right. Thanks, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow.
Stakeholders. Ronnie Ward from the Ditmas section of the Flatbush neighborhood, Brooklyn, in the city of New York. Don't be fooled by a heart that's cruel. No, 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 da, 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 da. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, I don't know. There we go. There it is. Tuning in on it. There we go.